Jake Morrison stood at the big window of the space station and looked out at the dark. Small metal pods floated past like dead fish in black water. 3 days ago, the enemy ships had come. 3 days ago, everything had changed. The Kepler research station was far from Earth, very far. It took 6 months to get there, even with the fastest ships. Jake had been the boss of this station for 2 years. He liked the quiet work of studying stars and space rocks. But now the quiet was gone forever. "Commander Morrison, sir." A young man walked up behind him. It was Kyle Brooks, who worked the radio. His face was white with fear. "We got another message coming in. It's bad news." Jake turned away from the window. The station felt different now. The lights seemed dimmer. The air felt thick. Everyone moved like they were walking through mud. Fear did that to people. "What's the message, Kyle?" Kyle looked at his hands. "It's from the colony on Kepler 438b, the one with all the families. They say enemy ships are coming. They say they can't fight them off." Jake felt sick in his stomach. Kepler 438b had 50,000 people. Farmers, teachers, kids playing in the dirt. Normal people who just wanted to live their lives far from the crowded cities of Earth. How long do they have? Maybe a day. Maybe less. Jake walked to the main room of the station. It was full of people now. Too many people. When the enemy attacked the mining towns below, some people got away in small ships. They came to the station because it was the only safe place left. But it wasn't really safe. Nothing was safe anymore. Dr. Lisa Chang was taking care of hurt people in what used to be the lunchroom. She had turned it into a hospital. Blood was on her shirt. Her hair was messy. She looked up when Jake walked in. "How many more are coming?" she asked. "I don't know," Jake said. "Maybe a lot more." Lisa nodded and went back to work. She was fixing a man's broken arm. The man was crying, not from pain, but because his wife and kids were still down on the planet. They might be dead now. No one knew. Jake walked to the radio room. It was full of voices. Scared voices calling for help. Some were far away and hard to hear. Some were close and very clear. All of them were saying the same thing. "Help us. Save us, please." Amy Rodriguez was working on the big machines that kept the station running. She was covered in oil and sweat. She looked up when Jake came in. "Commander, I got some good news and some bad news." "Give me the good news first. I made our radio stronger. We can talk to places that are further away now." "And the bad news?" Amy wiped her hands on a dirty cloth. "The station is falling apart. The enemy ships shot us up pretty good. We got holes in the hull. The airmaker is working too hard. And the power is going down." Jake looked around the room. 20 people were working at different machines. They were all trying to keep the station alive. But Jake could see they were losing the fight. "How long do we have? If we keep using power like this, maybe a week. Maybe less if more people come." Up from the planet, Jake went back to the window. More small ships were coming up from the planet below. People running for their lives, but where could they run to? The enemy ships were everywhere. Kyle ran up to him again. "Commander, you need to hear this." Jake followed him to the radio room. Kyle turned up the sound. A woman's voice came through the speakers. She was trying not to cry, but Jake could hear the tears. "This is Sarah Blake from New Denver Colony. Can anyone hear me? They destroyed our ships. They destroyed our defenses. They're landing soldiers now. If anyone can hear this, please help us. We have children here. Please." The voice stopped. Kyle tried to call back, but no one answered. "How many colonies are under attack?" Jake asked. "All of them, sir. Every human town in this part of space." The enemy is moving from planet to planet. They're not taking prisoners. Jake felt cold. The enemy was called the Vorthan Empire. They were big and strong and had lots of ships. They said this part of space belonged to them. They said humans had no right to be here. Sir, what do we do? Kyle asked. Jake looked at all the people in the radio room. They were all looking at him, waiting for him to have an answer. But he didn't have one. Keep trying to contact the colonies. Help anyone you can. Jake walked back to his office. It was small and quiet. On his desk was a picture of his family back on Earth. His wife, his 2 kids. They were safe. But what about all the families out here? He opened his computer and looked at the star maps. Earth was so far away. The nearest military base was even further. By the time help could come, everyone would be dead. But he had to try. Jake walked back to the radio room. Amy, I need you to give me everything. All the power we have left. Sir? If I do that, we won't have much left for life support. Do it anyway. Amy worked on the machines for an hour. Sparks flew. The lights got dimmer, but the radio got stronger. Okay, Commander, you got maybe 1 shot at this. The radio is as strong as I can make it. Jake picked up the microphone. His hands were shaking. He thought about all the people counting on him, the families, the children, the people who just wanted to live free among the stars. This is Commander Jake Morrison of Kepler Research Station calling Earth. Can anyone hear me? Nothing. This is Commander Jake Morrison calling Earth. We need help. The Vorthan Empire is attacking human colonies. They're killing everyone. We're too far out here. We can't fight them alone. Still nothing. Jake tried again. This is Commander Jake Morrison. If anyone can hear this, please help us. We have families. Out here, we have children. The enemy is coming, and we can't stop them. We are alone. We are dying. If anyone can hear this, we need help. The radio went quiet. Amy shook her head. That's it, Commander. The radio is dead. We used up all the power. Jake put down the microphone. He had sent his message out into the dark. Now all he could do was wait and hope that someone, somewhere, had heard him. The station was very quiet now. People whispered to each other. They looked at the windows, watching for enemy ships. Everyone knew that help was far away. Everyone knew that no one was coming. Jake went back to the window. The planet below was on fire. Red light came up from the surface where cities used to be. The enemy was thorough. They didn't leave anything alive. Commander. Kyle came up behind him. Again, the colonies have stopped calling. All of them. Jake nodded. He understood. The voices asking for help had gone quiet. One by one they had died. Sir, what do we do now? Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there were people who might care about what happened to the colonies. But they were so far away. Now we wait, Jake said. We wait and hope that someone heard our call. But deep down, Jake knew the truth. No one was coming. They were alone in the dark, and the enemy was all around them. Help was too far away. It would take months for ships to reach them, and they didn't have months. They had days, maybe hours. Jake Morrison had done everything he could. He had sent his plea for help out into the vast darkness between stars. Now all he could do was wait and prepare for the end. The message was simple and desperate. It carried the hope of thousands of people who just wanted to live. It raced through space at the speed of light, growing weaker with each passing moment. And somewhere, in the darkness between stars, maybe someone was listening. Ryan Cooper was cutting grass in his backyard when the car pulled up. He was 60 years old and happy to be done with the military. 30 years of fighting in space was enough for any man. Now he had a small house in the mountains of Colorado. He had a garden. He had peace. The car door opened and Ben Lewis got out. Ben had worked for Ryan for 10 years before Ryan quit the military. Ben was a good soldier and a good friend. But he looked worried now. Admiral Cooper, Ben said. He still called Ryan by his old military name. It's just Ryan now, Ben. I'm not an admiral anymore. Ben walked to the fence. Sir, you need to see something. It's important. Ryan put down his grass cutter. He could tell from Ben's face that this was serious. They went inside to Ryan's kitchen. Ben put a small machine on the table and turned it on. Pictures appeared in the air above it. What am I looking at? Ryan asked. Reports from our deep space stations. Something big is happening out there. Ben touched the machine and the pictures changed. These are enemy ship movements. They're attacking human colonies in the outer rim. Ryan studied the pictures. He had seen a lot of battles in his time. This looked bad, very bad. How many colonies have they hit? 12 so far, maybe more. We lost contact with most of them 3 days ago. Ryan sat down hard in his chair. 12 colonies meant maybe 1 million people. Families, children, people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. What does Earth Command say? Ben looked uncomfortable. They're putting together a rescue fleet. But Ryan, it's going to take 6 months to get there. Maybe longer. 6 months? Ryan said the word slowly. In 6 months, everyone would be dead. There might be another way, Ben said quietly. What way? Ben touched the machine again. New pictures appeared. These showed plans for something Ryan had never seen before. Project Lightbringer, Ben said. We've been working on it for 20 years. A new kind of engine that can make ships move faster than light. Ryan looked at the plans. They were very complex. Too complex for him to understand completely. If this works, why haven't we used it before? Because it needs too much power. No single ship can generate enough energy to make the jump work. Ryan was starting to understand. But what if we didn't use just one ship? Exactly. What if we used every ship in the fleet? The idea was crazy. Take every military ship that Earth had and connect their engines together. Make them all jump at the same time to the same place. It had never been tried before. What are the chances it will work? Ryan asked. Maybe 50%, maybe less. And if it doesn't work, we lose every ship we have. Earth would be defenseless. Ryan got up and walked to the window. He could see the mountains in the distance. Everything was peaceful here. But far away, people were dying. How long do we have to decide? The fleet is ready now. They're waiting for orders. Ryan thought about his wife and kids. They were safe on Earth. But what about all the other families? The ones who had traveled to distant stars looking for new homes? I need to see the fleet, Ryan said. 2 hours later, Ryan was in a small ship flying up to Earth's orbit. What he saw there took his breath away. Hundreds of ships floated in space like sleeping giants. Big battleships, fast cruisers, small destroyers. Every ship that Earth could spare. Ben took him to the biggest ship, the EDF Valiant. It would be the lead ship if they tried this crazy plan. The captain was a woman named Helen Price. She was young but smart. Ryan had heard good things about her. Admiral Cooper, she said when they met. I've run the numbers 100 times. The plan could work, but the timing has to be perfect. How perfect? If we're off by even a tiny bit, the forces will tear. The ship's apart. We need every ship to jump at exactly the same moment. Ryan walked to the bridge of the Valiant. Through the big windows, he could see all the other ships. Thousands of people were on those ships. They were all volunteers. They knew they might not come home. Dr. Kevin Park was the scientist in charge of the new engines. He was a thin man, with thick glasses. He looked very nervous. "Doctor, what do you think our chances are?" "Honestly, Admiral, I don't know. We've never tried anything like this. The math says it should work, but math and reality are sometimes different things." Ryan nodded. He understood. In 30 years of fighting, he had learned that plans and reality are often very different. "How many ships do we have?" 237, Captain Price said. "Every ship we could get ready in time." Ryan looked out at the fleet again. It was everything Earth had. If they lost these ships, Earth would be helpless if other enemies came. But people were dying out. There. Human people, his people. "Admiral," a young officer said, "we're getting more reports from the outer rim. The attacks are getting worse." Ryan took the reports and read them. Colony after colony was going silent. The enemy was moving fast. Soon, there would be no one left to save. "Sir," Captain Price said, "if we're going to do this, we need to go now. Every hour we wait, more people die." Ryan looked around the bridge. Everyone was watching him, waiting for him to decide. The weight of the decision felt like a mountain on his shoulders. "What about?" "The message from Kepler Research Station?" he asked. Ben showed him the recording. A man's voice, desperate and scared, asking for help, saying they were alone, saying they were dying. Ryan closed his eyes and listened to the message again. The man sounded like he had given up hope, like he knew no one would come. "How long to get to Kepler if this works?" "Maybe an hour," Dr. Park said, "if it works." "And if we use normal engines?" 6 months. Ryan made his decision. "All ships, prepare for synchronized jump. We're going to bring our people home." The next hour was busy. Every ship in the fleet had to connect their engines to the others. It was like building a chain out of 237 links. If any one link broke, the whole chain would fail. Dr. Park worked with teams on every ship. They checked and double-checked every connection. The power levels had to be exactly right. The timing had to be perfect. "Admiral," Captain Price said, "all ships report ready. The power coupling is stable." Ryan opened a channel to the entire fleet. His voice would go to every ship, every crew member. "This is Admiral Ryan Cooper to all ships. Today, we're going to try something that has never been done before. We're going to cross the galaxy in minutes, instead of months. I won't lie to you. We don't know if it will work. We might not make it home. But we know that our people are out there dying, and they need us." Ryan paused. He thought about his peaceful house in the mountains. He might never see it again. Our people sent out a call for help. They said they were alone. They said they were dying. They thought no one would come. Today, we're going to prove them wrong. Today, we're going to light up the stars and show the galaxy what humans do when our family needs help. The countdown began. Every ship in the fleet prepared to jump at exactly the same moment. If they were off by even a split second, they would all die. 10 seconds, Dr. Park announced. Ryan gripped the arms of his chair. 5 seconds. The bridge was completely quiet. 3, 2, 1, jump. The fleet vanished from Earth's orbit in a flash of light brighter than the sun. In one moment, 237 ships were there. In the next moment, they were gone. Space around Earth was empty and quiet. Only a few patrol ships remained to guard the homeworld. Everyone else was racing across the galaxy at impossible speed, chasing a desperate message from people who thought they were alone. The jump felt like being turned inside out. Ryan's body felt stretched and compressed at the same time. The stars outside became lines of light, then disappeared completely. There was only darkness and the feeling of moving impossibly fast. Then suddenly it was over. Jump complete, Dr. Park announced. His voice was shaking. All ships report successful transition. Ryan looked out the window. Strange stars filled the view. They had done it. They had crossed the galaxy in minutes. Captain Price, what's our position? We're at the edge of the Proxima 7 system, sir. Right where we wanted to be. Any ships lost in the jump? Price checked her reports. Her face went sad. 3 ships. Didn't make it, sir. The destroyer Storm broke apart during transition. We lost the cruiser Thunder and the frigate Lightning too. Ryan felt the weight of those losses. Good ships with good crews. They had died to bring help to strangers they had never met. Sir, the communications officer said, I'm picking up the distress signal from Kepler Research Station. They're still alive. Ryan smiled for the first time in days. They had made it. Against all odds, against all logic, they had crossed the impossible distance. Open a channel to Kepler Research Station. Channel open, sir. Kepler Research Station. This is Admiral Ryan Cooper of the Earth Defense Force. We received your message. We're here to help. The response came back immediately. A man's voice, filled with wonder and disbelief. Admiral Cooper? But how? How did you get here so fast? We found a way to bend the rules, Commander. Cavalry's here. Ryan looked out at his fleet. They had done the impossible. Now they had to fight. War Master Krell Vash stood on the bridge of his huge warship, the Eternal Dominion. He looked out at the burning planet below and felt satisfied. Another human colony was dead. The soft-skinned invaders would learn that this part of space belonged to the Vorthan Empire. Krelvash was 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. His people had ruled this area of space for thousands of years. Then the humans came with their small ships and weak weapons. They built cities on planets that belonged to the Vorthan. They had to be stopped. War Master, his second in command, said the Vorthan's name was Torques. The research station continues to send distress signals. Should we destroy it? Krelvash made a sound like laughter. Let them scream into the void. Their calls for help only show how alone they are. No one will come to save them. The Vorthan fleet was huge. Over 400 ships, each one bigger and stronger than anything the humans had. Krelvash had been destroying human colonies for days. It was easy work. The humans had no real defenses. On Kepler Research Station, Jake Morrison felt like he was dying inside. The station was falling apart. The air was getting thin. Food was running low. Wounded people filled every room. Dr. Lisa Chong was working. Without sleep, she moved from patient to patient like a ghost. Her medical supplies were almost gone. Soon she would not be able to help anyone. Commander, Kyle Brooks called from the radio room. His voice was shaking with excitement. I'm picking up something on the sensors. Multiple contacts at the edge of the system. Jake ran to the sensor room. He looked at the display and couldn't believe what he saw. Hundreds of ships were appearing. In space, the computer was trying to identify them. Are they Vorthan? Jake asked. Kyle worked at his controls. The display changed and showed the ship types. Jake's heart almost stopped. No, sir. They're human. Earth Defense Force ships. Hundreds of them. Jake stared at the screen. It was impossible. The nearest Earth fleet was months away. How could they be here? The radio crackled to life. A strong voice came through the speakers. Kepler Research Station. This is Admiral Ryan Cooper of the Earth Defense Force First Fleet. We received your message. Cavalry's here. Jake grabbed the microphone with shaking hands. Admiral Cooper? But how? How did you get here so fast? We found a way to bend the rules, Commander. Help is here. Jake looked around the radio room. Everyone was staring at him with wide eyes. Some people were crying. After days of hopelessness, The impossible had happened. Earth had not forgotten. M got all across the Proxima 7 system. Human survivors looked at their screens in wonder. Ships that should have taken months to arrive were here now. The cavalry had come. Admiral Cooper stood on the bridge of the EDF Valiant. The synchronized jump had worked, but it had cost them. 3 good ships were gone. But they had made it across the galaxy in time to help. "Admiral," Captain Ben Lewis said, "we're detecting massive Vorthan fleet movements. It looks like they're coming to meet us." Cooper nodded grimly. "Good. We came here for a fight. Signal all ships. Battle formations. Let's show these aliens what happens when they mess with humans." The human fleet spread out in space like a hunting pack. 234 ships against over 400 Vorthan vessels. The odds were bad, but humans had fought against bad odds before Captain Helen Price worked at the navigation controls. "Admiral, recommend we use the asteroid field to hide our approach. We can hit them from multiple directions." Cooper studied the tactical display. The Vorthan ships were big and powerful, but they were slow. Human ships were smaller, but faster. "Do it. All ships. Prepare for combat. We're going to dance with these bastards." War Master Krell Vash watched the human fleet approach on his screens. He had never fought humans in open battle before. He had only attacked their defenseless colonies. But how hard could it be? His ships were bigger and stronger. How many human ships? He asked Torquus. "Just over 200, War Master. We outnumber them 2-1. Krell Vash felt confident. "Signal the fleet. All ships attack. We will crush these humans like insects." The Vorthan fleet began to move. 400 massive warships accelerating toward the human force. Their weapons were charging. Victory seemed certain, but Admiral Cooper had other plans. "All ships, execute attack plan Alpha," he commanded. "Hit them hard and fast, then get out." The human fleet split into 3 groups. One group went left around the asteroid field. One went right. The main group went straight forward. The Vorthan fleet had to split up to follow them. Captain Danny Webb commanded the destroyer EDF Lightning. He led 20 small ships through the asteroid field. His job was to hit the enemy from behind while they were busy with the main fleet. "All ships, weapons hot," Webb announced. "We're going in fast and hard. Hit your targets and get out before they can lock onto you." The small human ships darted between the asteroids like angry wasps. The big Vorthan ships tried to follow, but kept hitting rocks. They were too big and slow to fight effectively in the asteroid field. Webb's ships emerged behind the Vorthan fleet and opened fire. Their weapons were smaller than the enemy's, but they hit weak spots in the enemy ships. Explosions lit up the darkness. WARMASTE. Our Krellvash felt his ship shake under enemy fire. How were the humans attacking from behind? His tactical display showed human ships everywhere, moving too fast to track properly. "All ships, concentrate fire on the human flagship." He ordered, "Destroy their command structure." The Vorthan fleet began to turn toward Admiral Cooper's ship. Hundreds of weapons aimed at the EDF Valiant. But Cooper didn't run. "All power to forward shields," he ordered. "We're going straight at them." "Sir, that's suicide," Captain Bryce said. "Maybe, but it's the last thing they'll expect." The Valiant charged directly at the center of the Vorthan fleet. Enemy weapons hit its shields like hammers. The ship shook and sparks flew from damaged systems. Lieutenant Commander Susan Walsh was in charge of the Valiant's weapons. She waited until they were close enough to see the enemy ships clearly. "All weapons fire," she shouted. The Valiant's main guns fired at point-blank range. The massive shells tore through Vorthan shields and armor like paper. 3 enemy ships exploded in balls of fire. On the research station, Dr. Chong watched the battle through the damaged sensors. "Commander, our people are outnumbered 2-1. How can they possibly win?" Jake Morrison watched the tactical display with the eye of a former soldier. "They're not trying to win through numbers, Doctor. They're fighting smarter." The battle raged across the solar system. Human ships darted in and out of the asteroid field, hitting enemy ships and disappearing before they could be targeted. The Vorthan ships were powerful but clumsy. Captain Martinez commanded the cruiser EDF Storm. He led his ship in a direct attack on the Vorthan command vessel. The 2 ships traded fire at close range, their weapons lighting up space. "This is Martinez to all ships," he broadcast. "The enemy flagship's shields are down. All available ships, hit the Eternal Dominion with everything you've got." Dozens of human ships converged on the Vorthan flagship. They fired missiles and energy beams from all directions. Krell Vash's bridge shook under the impact. "War Master, we're taking heavy damage," Torques reported. "Hull breaches on multiple decks. Main weapons offline." Krell Vash couldn't believe what was happening. His superior fleet was being torn apart by these smaller human ships. They fought like nothing he had ever seen before. "Sir, engine room reports critical damage," another officer said. "We're losing power throughout the ship." The Eternal Dominion was dying. All around it, other Vorthan ships were being destroyed or damaged. The humans fought with a fury that surprised everyone. Admiral Cooper watched the battle from the Valiants. Bridge. His fleet was taking losses too, but they were winning. The key was mobility. The human ships never stayed in one place long enough for the enemy to hit them effectively. "Admiral, enemy flagship is trying to retreat," Captain Price reported. "Let them go. Signal all ships to continue the attack, but don't pursue beyond the asteroid field. We need to rescue survivors." War Master Krell Vash made the hardest decision of his military career. His people had never retreated from inferior enemies before, but these humans had proven they were not inferior. "Signal the retreat," he ordered. "All ships withdraw to the outer system. We will regroup and return with reinforcements." The surviving Vorthan ships limped away from the battlefield. Over half their fleet had been destroyed or badly damaged. It was the worst defeat in Vorthan history. Cooper surveyed the cost of victory. His fleet had lost 43 ships and thousands of crew members. But they had saved the Outer Rim colonies from complete destruction. "All ships begin search and rescue operations," Cooper ordered. "Find every survivor. We're not leaving anyone behind." Jake Morrison watched from the research station as human ships spread across the system. They were looking for escape pods, damaged ships, anyone who might still be alive. "Commander," Kyle said from his position at the sensors, "Admiral Cooper wants to talk to you." Cooper's image appeared on the main screen. He looked tired but determined. "Commander Morrison, are you and your people all right?" "We are now, sir." "I still can't believe you made it here so fast." "When humans call for help, we answer, no matter how far we have to travel." Jake felt tears in his eyes. For days he had thought they were alone. He had sent his message into the darkness with Ew. The Battle of Proxima 7 started with a flash of light that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Admiral Cooper's fleet struck first, their weapons firing as one. The darkness of space became bright with energy beams and explosions. Captain Danny Webb led the first attack. His destroyer EDF Lightning was small and fast. Behind him came 20 more small ships, darting through the asteroid field like angry bees. "All ships, stay close to the rocks," Webb said over the radio. "Use them for cover, hit the big ships, and get out fast." The Vorthan warships were huge. Some were as big as Earth cities. Their weapons could destroy a human ship with one shot, but they were slow and hard to turn. Webb's small ships used this against them. The lightning came out from behind a big asteroid and fired all its weapons at a Vorthan cruiser. The enemy ship's shields flashed and sparked. Then Webb's ship disappeared back into the rocks before the enemy could shoot back. Direct hit on Target 1, Webb reported. Moving to Target 2. All across the battlefield, human ships did the same thing. They attacked from hiding and vanished again. The Vorthan ships tried to follow, but kept hitting asteroids. They were too big to fight well in the rocky field. On the research station, Jake Morrison watched the battle on his screens. Dr. Lisa Chang stood beside him. She had finished helping the wounded and now watched the rescuers fight for their lives. "How can our ships win?" she asked. "The enemy ships are so much bigger." "Size isn't everything in space combat," Jake said. "Speed and smart thinking matter. More." Admiral Cooper's flagship, the EDF Valiant, led the main attack. It was the biggest human ship in the battle, but still much smaller than the enemy warships. Cooper didn't care about the size difference. "All power to forward weapons," he ordered. "We're going right at them." Captain Helen Price looked worried. "Sir, that's very dangerous. They have us outnumbered 2-1. "Sometimes the best defense is a strong attack," Cooper replied. "If we act scared, they'll walk all over us. But if we show them we're not afraid, they might make mistakes." The Valiant charged straight at the center of the Vorthan fleet. Enemy weapons lit up space around it. The ship's shields took hit after hit. Sparks flew on the bridge. The lights flickered. Lieutenant Commander Susan Walsh controlled the Valiant's weapons. She was young, but had trained for this her whole life. She waited until the enemy ships were close enough to touch. "All batteries fire!" she shouted. The Valiant's big guns fired at the same time. The shells were as big as cars and moved at incredible speed. They hit 3 Vorthan ships at once. The enemy vessels exploded in bright balls of fire. War Master Krelvash felt his flagship shake under human weapons fire. He couldn't understand what was happening. His fleet was bigger and stronger. How were the humans winning? "Torques, report," he demanded. His second-in-command checked the battle reports. "War Master, we've lost 60 ships already. The humans fight like nothing we've seen before." "They're just humans," Krelvash growled. "Weak creatures with soft skin. Order all ships to attack their flagship. Kill their leader, and they'll give up." The Vorthan fleet began turning toward the Valiant. Hundreds of weapons aimed at Cooper's ship, but the Admiral had expected this. "All ships, protect the flagship," he ordered over the fleet radio. "Don't let them concentrate their fire." Human ships came from all directions. They flew between the Valiant and the enemy fleet, taking hits meant for the flagship. Captain Martinez in the cruiser EDF Storm led his ship right into the enemy formation. "This is Martinez," he called over the radio. "I'm going after their command ship. Cover me." The Storm was a tough ship with thick armor. Martinez drove it straight at the Eternal Dominion like a spear aimed at the heart. Enemy weapons hit his ship again and again, but he kept going. "Hull breach on Deck 5, his officer reported. "Shield generators are failing." "Keep going," Martinez ordered. "We're almost there." The Storm and the Eternal Dominion came together like 2 rams hitting head-to-head. Both ships fired all their weapons at point-blank range. The space between them became white with energy. On the Eternal Dominion's bridge, warning lights flashed red. Krelvash grabbed his command chair as the ship shook like it was falling apart. "Damage report," he shouted. "Main weapons offline," Torques reported. "Hull breaches on all decks. We're losing atmosphere." Krelvash looked at his screens. All around him, his fleet was being torn apart. The humans fought with a fury he had never seen. They didn't fight like they were trying to win. They fought like they were trying to save their families. And that's exactly what they were doing. Captain Webb's destroyer group hit another part of the Vorthen fleet. They came out of the asteroid field like ghosts, fired everything they had, and disappeared again. 3 more enemy ships exploded. "Webb to all ships," he called. "The enemy is getting confused. They don't know where to aim. Keep moving and keep hitting them." Dr. Kevin Park watched the battle from his science ship at the back of the human fleet. He was the man who had made the impossible jump possible. Now he watched his invention being tested in battle. "Amazing," he said to his assistant. "The fleet coordination is perfect. Every ship knows exactly where every other ship is. The synchronized jump technology did more than just move ships across space. It also connected their computers together. Every human ship shared information instantly. They fought like one giant organism instead of separate vessels, but the Vorthen ships had no such coordination. Each ship fought alone. They got in each other's way. They couldn't tell friend from enemy in the confusion of battle. Captain Sarah Blake commanded the cruiser EDF. Thunder. She had been named after the woman who died calling for help from New in her colony. Blake was determined to make the enemy pay for every human life they had taken. "All ships, form up on me," she ordered. "We're going to punch a hole right through their center." 10 human ships formed a line behind the Thunder. They accelerated together toward the thickest part of the enemy fleet. It looked like suicide, but Blake had a plan. Just before they reached the enemy ships, the human vessels spread out like an opening flower. Each ship attacked a different target. The Vorthen ships couldn't decide which one to shoot at in seconds. The human ships had passed through the enemy formation and out the other side. Behind them, 6 Vorthen warships were burning wrecks. On the research station, Kyle Brooks tracked the battle on his repaired sensors. "Commander, our fleet is winning. The enemy is starting to retreat." Jake Morrison couldn't believe it. Human fleet was smaller and weaker, but they were actually winning. The impossible was happening again. Admiral Cooper watched the enemy fleet begin to pull back. His own ships had taken heavy damage, but they had proven their point. Humanity would not be pushed around. "All ships, maintain formation," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup." Lieutenant Commander Walsh fired the Valiant's weapons again. Another enemy ship exploded. The human crews cheered, but Cooper remained focused. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked Captain Price. Price checked her reports. Her face was sad. 43 ships destroyed, sir. 12 more badly damaged. We've lost over 6,000 crew members." Cooper felt the weight of those losses. Good people who had volunteered to cross the galaxy to help strangers. They had died heroes, but they were still dead. But their sacrifice had meaning. Around the battlefield, Vorthen ships were limping away. The great fleet that had seemed unstoppable was broken and beaten. War Master Krelvash made the hardest decision of his life. For 1,000 years, the Vorthen Empire had never retreated from battle. But these humans had shown him something he had never seen before. "Signal the retreat," he ordered. "All ships, withdraw to safe distance." Torques couldn't believe what he was hearing. "War Master, we cannot retreat. The High Command will have us executed. Better to live in shame than die in stupidity," Krelvash replied. "These humans are not what we thought they were. We need to rethink our strategy." The surviving Vorthen ships began to pull back. They moved slowly, many of them badly damaged. The proud fleet that had destroyed colony after colony was now running from the very people they had tried to exterminate. Captain Martinez watched the enemy retreat from his damaged bridge. The storm had taken a beating, but it was still fighting. "All ships, this is Martinez. The enemy flagship is running. Should we pursue?" Admiral Cooper's voice came back immediately. Negative. Let them go. We have more important work to do. The human fleet regrouped in the center of the system. They had won an impossible victory, but the cost had been high. 43 ships would never return to Earth. Thousands of families would never see their loved ones again, but they had saved tens of thousands of other lives. Every human colony in the Outer Rim was safe because of their sacrifice. Cooper opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, begin search and rescue operations. Find every survivor. Recover every escape pod. We came here to save people, and that's what we're going to do. The human ships spread out across the battlefield. They looked for damaged vessels, escape pods, anyone who might still be alive. They didn't just look for humans. They also rescued Vorthan survivors from destroyed ships. Dr. Chong watched the rescue operations from the research station. Commander, why are they saving the enemy too? Jake Morrison smiled for the first time in days. Because that's who we are, Doctor. We don't leave anyone. 3 days after the battle, Jake Morrison stood in the rebuilt control room of Kepler Research Station. Through the big windows, he could see human ships working everywhere. They were fixing damaged stations, rescuing survivors, and building new defenses. The station felt alive again. The air was clean and fresh. The lights were bright. People moved with purpose instead of fear. Dr. Lisa Chong was setting up a proper medical center with supplies brought by the rescue fleet. Commander Morrison, a voice said behind him. Jake turned to see Admiral Cooper walking into the control room. The Admiral looked tired but satisfied. Admiral, welcome aboard. How are the rescue operations going? Cooper walked to the window and looked out at the busy ships. Better than I hoped. We found survivors from 12 different colonies. The Vorthan didn't kill everyone after all. Jake felt relief wash over him. For days he had thought that everyone in the outer colonies was dead. Now it turned out that thousands of people had survived by hiding or escaping. What happens now, sir? Now we rebuild, Cooper said. But this time we do it right. No more isolated colonies with no way to call for help. No more settlements that can't defend themselves. Amy Rodriguez had been working with the fleet's engineers to improve the station systems. She came up to Jake with a big smile on her face. Commander, you're not going to believe this. The Admiral's people have given us new radio equipment. We can now talk to Earth instantly, no matter how far away we are. Jake looked surprised. Instantly? How is that possible? Dr. Kevin Park, the scientist who had made the impossible jump, walked over to explain. It uses the same technology as our jump drives. We can send messages through folded space. Distance doesn't matter anymore. The implications were huge. No human settlement would ever be alone again. If danger came, help could be called instantly. And if help was needed, it could arrive in hours instead of months. Dr. Park, Jake said, your invention is going to change everything. Park smiled modestly. It already has, Commander. We've proven that humans can go anywhere, do anything, when we work together. Captain Ben Lewis had been coordinating the search for survivors. He came to the control room with good news. Admiral, we've made contact with the hidden colony on Kepler 452c. They've been hiding in underground shelters for a week. 3,000 people, including 800 children. Cooper felt a warm feeling in his chest. Children were the future. Every child they saved was a victory against the darkness. Get rescue ships to them immediately, and set up a permanent defense station in that system. All across the Outer Rim, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships were finding survivors, rebuilding colonies, and setting up defenses. The Vorthan attack had been meant to drive humans away. Instead, it had made them stronger. Captain Helen Price was setting up the new defense network. Her job was to make sure this could never happen again. Admiral, I recommend we place defense stations every 10 light years along the rim. With the Kung new jump technology, reinforcements can reach any station within an hour. Do it, Cooper ordered. And make sure every station has enough firepower to hold off a major attack until help arrives. The news of humanity's victory was spreading through the galaxy. Other alien races had heard about the Battle of Proxima 7. Many of them were surprised that the small human fleet had defeated the mighty Vorthan Empire. Captain Danny Webb had been talking to alien traders who came to watch the rebuilding. They told him interesting things. Admiral, Webb reported, the aliens are impressed. They say they've never seen anything like what we did. Some of them want to make trade agreements with us. Cooper nodded. Good. Let them know that humans are peaceful, but we protect our own. Anyone who wants to trade fairly is welcome. Anyone who wants to attack us will regret it. On Earth, the news of the rescue mission had made Admiral Cooper a hero. But he didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man who had done his job. Dr. Chong finished setting up the medical center and came to find Jake. Commander, I've been offered a position at the best hospital on Earth, but I'm thinking of staying here. Why would you want to stay on a damaged research station? Because this is where I'm needed most. Out here on the edge of human space, helping to build the future. Jake understood. He felt the same way. Earth was safe and comfortable, but the frontier was where history was being made. Lieutenant Kyle Brooks had been monitoring communications from across human space. He came to Jake with an interesting report. Commander, we're getting messages from all over. Other colonies want to know how we called for help so effectively. They want to set up the same kind of emergency systems. Tell them everything they need to know, Jake replied. Share our communication protocols, our emergency procedures, everything. We're all in this together. That was the real lesson of the Battle of Proxima 7. Humans were stronger when they worked together. Distance didn't matter. Politics didn't matter. When one human was in trouble, all humans would help. War Master Krell Vash was facing the judgment of the Vorthan High Command. His defeat had shocked the entire empire. For the first time in 1,000 years, Vorthan forces had been beaten in open battle. Explain this disaster, the High Commander demanded. Krell Vash stood straight despite his shame. The humans are not what we thought, High Commander. They fight with unity and purpose. When one of them calls for help, all of them respond. That is impossible. No species is that united. I have seen it with my own eyes. They crossed the galaxy in hours to save strangers. They fought against superior numbers without fear. They are vulnerable. The High Command didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was clear. The humans had to be taken seriously now. Back in the Proxima 7 system, Admiral Cooper was preparing to return to Earth with most of his fleet. But he was leaving behind a strong garrison to protect the outer rim. Commander Morrison, he said, I'm promoting you to Sector Commander. Your job is to coordinate defense for all human settlements in this area. Jake felt the weight of responsibility. Sir, I'm just a research station commander. I don't know if I'm qualified. You're the man who sent the message that started all this. You kept your people alive when everything seemed hopeless. You're more qualified than you think. Dr. Park was already working on improvements to the jump drive technology. Admiral, I think we can make the jumps even faster and more accurate. Soon we'll be able to send single ships anywhere in the galaxy within minutes. Keep working on it, Doctor. The faster we can respond to emergencies, the safer everyone will be. Captain Martinez, whose ship had been badly damaged in the battle, was overseeing repairs. Admiral, the storm will be ready for duty in a week. We took a beating, but we're not out of the fight, Cooper smiled. That was the human spirit in a nutshell. No matter how hard they got hit, they got back up and kept fighting. As the days passed, more survivors were found. Some had been hiding in caves on destroyed planets. Others had been drifting in space in damaged ships. The human rescue teams never gave up looking. Amy Rodriguez had been promoted to chief engineer for the entire sector. Her job was to upgrade every human station and colony with the best defenses and communications available. "Commander Morrison," she said, "I've been thinking about your original message, the one that brought the fleet here." "What about it?" "You said we were alone, but you were wrong. We're never alone as long as there are humans somewhere who can hear us." Jake nodded. That was the real victory. Not the battle in space, but the knowledge that no human would ever face danger alone again. The final scene took place in the observation deck, where Jake had first watched the escape pods drift helplessly in space. Now, construction ships moved purposefully through the system, building new habitats and defense platforms. Jake activated the station's new quantum communicator and sent a message to Earth. The message would arrive instantly, traveling through folded space faster than light itself. "This is Sector Commander Jake Morrison calling Earth Command. The Outer Rim is secure. All colonies are protected. All survivors have been rescued. Humanity's light burns bright among the stars." The response came back immediately from Earth. "Message received, Sector Commander. Well done. Earth is proud of all of you." Jake looked out at the stars. They no longer seemed cold and distant. They were filled with human ships, human colonies, human dreams. The galaxy was becoming humanity's new home. Dr. Chong joined him at the window. "Commander, do you think the Vorthen will attack again?" "Maybe. But if they do, they'll find us ready. And they'll find that humanity doesn't give up." Kyle Brooks came up behind them. "Commander, we're getting reports from the other sectors. Every human colony is setting up new defenses. The whole frontier is becoming stronger." That was Admiral Cooper's real victory. He hadn't just won a battle. He had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of when they worked together. The message was simple and clear. When humanity's children call for help, the entire species answers. No distance is too great. No odds are too overwhelming. No sacrifice is too large. The aliens who had watched the Battle of Proxima 7 spread word throughout the galaxy. There was a new power rising among the stars. A species that would cross impossible distances to save their own. A people who turned the cold darkness of space into a warm light of hope. Humanity had come to the stars not as conquerors, but as